If you are a gardener and you're growing zucchinis, then chances are that you have so many zucchinis right now that you don't even know what to do with them. And if this is the case, this video is for you. And if you're not a gardener and don't grow zucchinis, then don't worry, you can just go to the store or to the local farmer's market and buy your zucchinis there. So let's get started. Today we are making fermented zucchinis. I guess everybody who is watching this video has already some idea that fermented foods are healthy. Why are they so healthy? Because fermentation is a process, and especially what we are doing today is called lacto-fermentation. And lacto-fermentation is a process which releases beneficial bacteria into your foods, which are beneficial for your gut health. There is a lactobacillus bacteria specifically, and many other beneficial bacteria that make your gut healthier. It's the same thing that you buy in those probiotic pills. We just make it naturally. And another thing is that fermented foods are more easy for our digestive system, which makes the nutrients in those foods more available for us. So your amazing homegrown healthy zucchini will become even more healthy if you ferment it. So this is the reason why we are doing it today. So let's get started. First of all, we need to gather our ingredients. We need zucchinis. The fresher the better. If you are a gardener and you have your own garden, I highly recommend you to do this fermentation right after picking your zucchinis, because the faster you do it, the better results you will get and the crispier your pickles will get, because the zucchinis, they start to soften the moment that you pick them, so the faster you pickle them, the better. Another essential ingredient for me, none of these other ingredients other than zucchini and salt are essential. They are all optional. But for me, I just love dill pickles. So I love to put dill into everything I pickle. I guess it's something from the childhood, because my grandparents used to do that. And I just love the taste of dill in my pickles. So that's why I let my dill to go flower. It just goes flowering, right? But I don't stop, I don't do anything with it, I don't rip it out, I let it to flower, and when it flowers, it's exactly the time usually that the cucumbers and the zucchinis are ready, so I can use the flowers of dill for pickling. So I take the dill with flowers and stems, and I cut the stems into smaller pieces like this. Then I use, it's good to use something tannin rich, because tannins are keeping our pickles crispy. This is another trick. Again, you don't absolutely need it if you live in the city and you don't have access to all those leaves. You can easily ferment your zucchinis without any leaves. Here we are very blessed. We have grapes growing all over our property, so I have very easy access to grape leaves, and that's the reason I'm using grape leaves in my fermentation. I just pick them from my bushes. Other options would be, for example, in my childhood we used blackcurrant leaves. So if you have to have a blackcurrant bush in your garden, go for it. That's my favorite, to be honest. Just right now in this climate, I haven't been very successful in growing blackcurrants. But blackcurrant leaves, they give a very special flavor to the fermentation, and I just love it. I'm trying to get my blackcurrant growing, but it's too hot here. And another thing I like to use is garlic. You don't have to if you don't like garlic. I just use it because we like garlic here. And yeah, and of course salt. You obviously need salt. And you can add as well different herbs or spices if you like. This is a kind of basic recipe for me, but I sometimes also like to add other herbs if I have available. But this is a basic recipe. So the first thing that we do, we will prepare the brine for our fermentation. And here I have 1 liter because I'm using a 1 liter jar this time. So I have 1 liter of spring water. I recommend to use spring water or filtered water. Please don't use tap water if your tap water contains chlorine, or leave it to stand for a while before you use it, because chlorine will not be beneficial for your fermentation. So I'm just adding 2 generous tablespoons of sea salt into the water and just dissolve it. Just stir it, stir it, stir it. Some people like to boil the water first so that they are sure that the salt will dissolve. I just add it to cold water and wait until it dissolves. Either is fine, just if you are using the boiling method, you have to wait until the water is completely cooled down, because if you are using, you cannot use hot water here. If you are using hot water, you will just kill all those beneficial bacteria and your fermentation will not happen. So what happens in the fermentation process? The lacto fermentation is actually very simple. There are beneficial bacteria on the surface of the vegetable. They are present there naturally, and we are just giving them a chance to develop. And why we are using salt is because salt is stopping the bad guys, the bad bacteria, from taking over. So that's the main reason we are using salt. So now the salt is fully dissolved. So the next step is to, first I will put some leaves on the bottom and a couple of garlic cloves, dill, flour, and I like to put generously those leaves and dill, everything on the bottom. And then we take our zucchinis or courgettes and we cut off the ends, both ends, because the ends, they have enzymes that can soften our pickles. And I just cut the small one, this is so cute, just cut it off. Those are good size. The younger you get them, the better, because the older the zucchinis get, the bigger the water content, which means that your pickles will not stay crispy. They are too watery. That's why it's good to use the smallest zucchinis that you can. It's a little bit too tall. You can make any shapes, obviously. I just like to make the kind of long sticks. But I also use the other pieces that are left over. I just put them in between. And when you are packing your jar, it's important to keep a couple of centimeters on the top free, because you need some space for the water. And now when I have stuffed all the zucchinis into the jar, it's time to add the brine. Just give it another stir to be sure that all the salt is dissolved. And I just cover all the zucchinis with the brine. Put few grape leaves on top. It's very important that all the zucchinis are covered with the brine, that nothing is sticking out, because whatever is sticking out will start to rot or will get bad or mold. So, and now I'm using this cute little thing here. It's a fermentation weight. It's a fancy little glass fermentation weight. If you don't have such a thing, don't worry, you can also just use a rock or whatever creative solution. Some people use plastic bags. The idea of this thing is to really make sure that all our zucchinis are under the water. That's very important. And you see, when I press it down, some water comes out. So a little pro tip, I highly recommend to use a plate under your jar, because some water will probably come out. Right now I have the water is already coming out before I close it, and also some more water might come out during the fermentation process. So I have closed the jar and I'm ready. Now all I have to do is to wait. How long it exactly takes for the zucchinis to be ready depends on the temperature and all the conditions in your house. Here right now it's very hot, so I would expect that they will be ready in 4 or 5 days. So every couple of days you can check and you can taste a little bit. Some people say you shouldn't do that, but I definitely do it. I just take one smaller piece out from the top and taste it, and when the taste is ready I start eating it, and when the taste is exactly as ready as I want it, I put the whole thing into the fridge so that the fermentation process stops, and it can keep in the fridge for a couple of weeks. For us it usually doesn't last so long, we just eat it up. So happy fermenting, and I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope you enjoy fermented zucchinis. If you make it, please let me know how it went for you. Let me know if you liked it. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Comments below. Okay, have a nice week. Ciao, ciao.